This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Today on Sports Files, I'm joined by two members of the Memphis Tigers football team, running back Brandon Hayes and defensive back Bobby McCain. The Memphis Tigers recently concluded spring football practice, the second under head coach Justin Fuente. Last Saturday's annual Blue-Gray game drew a very enthusiastic crowd to Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium, and the hope is that continued improvement from the team will draw even bigger crowds this fall. The Tigers finished off season number 1 of the Fuente era with 3 straight convincing wins. The play of the Tigers certainly was a good sign, but anyone with knowledge of the Memphis football program realizes they have a long way to go. Spring ball produced some positive signs, but still plenty of inconsistency. And now the Tigers get set to embark on a new conference with stiffer competition. The question is, will they be ready to put their best foot forward? Today I chat with Tigers redshirt senior running back Brandon Hayes and junior defensive back Bobby McCain on the past, present, and future of Memphis Tigers football. That's next on Sports Files.
Bobby, Brandon, thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it. So give me the wrap-up on spring football. How did it go? Let me start with you, Bobby.
We had a great spring. As a team, we came together closer. And at the beginning of the spring, you could see defensively that we weren't set well. We were all everywhere, all over the place. But then we came together and we focused up, and we just all of a sudden started playing ball the way it's supposed to be played. Offensively, they got way better than they were the last year, and they gave us great competition during the spring.
Brandon.
We had our ups and downs, but we ended up finishing up strong. Our last 2 scrimmages, we had great ball security, made very little mental mistakes. We executed alignment, assignment technique, and I think, we finished strong. Today we really, defense, I think they might have outplayed us today, but our last 2 scrimmages, I think we had an upper edge on them.
So how does this spring football, the second for head coach Justin Fuente, how does it compare to what happened for you guys last year?
Last year we were getting to know him, and we're learning the system, learning the plays, learning everything about him, just the way he coaches and all. And we really adjusted to that now, and we know, hey, he's going to come out ready to work every day. And I mean, just you have to come prepared with your lunch pail. Just a blue collar team, and we have to come out ready to work.
Brandon, what's it like to play for Justin Fuente?
It's great. It's a great atmosphere. We really believe in the system, and you could tell the players are starting to believe. You could tell in the weight room and everything, players are starting to get stronger and faster, way from when I first got on the team. And I think, we're really starting to buy into what he's saying.
Coach said there may be a position or 2 sewn up, but that's it. The competition is fierce. The competition will continue into August. Do you guys personally like that? I mean, or do you would love to have your position sewn up? Do you like that there's more competition with the team this year? Start with you, Bobby.
I like the fact that there's competition. I mean, it's going to bring out the best. My coach Vaughn, he says the bottom brings up from the top, and that's just, I mean, if you have depth, this is just as good as your 1s and 2s, then you're going to be just fine. I mean, competition brings out the best in people, and so that's what I like.
Would you agree, Brandon?
Yeah, I agree exactly what Bobby says. I mean, if we already feel like we already are setting, I think that we're not going to give it as much as what we would if we know it's a competition and somebody might be able to take your spot. And I think, it keeps us on our toes and keeps us competing and being competitive out there.
Last year, it obviously took you guys a while to come together, new coach, new coaching staff, a lot of new players, a lot of new faces. You got better as the season progressed. You won your last 3 games. Why did it all come together there at the end? Let me start with you, Brandon.
We started offense started feeding off our defense. Our defense would get a big stop, we'll feed off that, and I think we started good drives, and we ball security was great at the end of the season. At the beginning we made stupid penalties, it was a lot of fumbles, a lot of interceptions, and I think that we stopped turning the ball over and stopped making stupid mistakes, and we ended up finishing strong.
Let me jump on something that Brandon said. Defensively, you guys were pretty incredible the last month of the season, but especially those last 3 games. Talk about being a part of that defensive unit.
Defensively up front, we have some guys that can really play ball. And I mean, it all starts up front with your D-line makes your secondary great.
Right.
And like as he said, we all came together and stopped making stupid penalties. Defensively, we made idiotic mistakes at the beginning of the year that cost us. Third down, and we're getting off the field, and we make a pass interference call. So, like we played smart, hard, smart, and tough, as Fuente preaches, and just we all play ball. And defensively, they had a great effort.
Brandon, you were a great story individually. Here you are, you played a year under Devin Rutherford at White Station High School. You were a walk-on, and I don't know where you were on the depth chart going into the season, but by the middle of the season, and especially at the end, I mean, you were taking over and putting together some really good games. What was it? Talk about the stick-to-itiveness, staying with it, even though you weren't the starter to begin the season, and then earning that job.
Well, I just had a lot of family members in my ear, just saying at it, just keep grinding at practice. They might, even if they have you on a scout team or 4th or 5th on the depth chart, just keep grinding and show them, that you're not going to ever give up and that you're never going to, stand down and just accept being that low on the depth chart. And, I think that the coach started seeing that, and then as soon as in practice, he started, trusting me a little bit more. He put me in for end of the game, end of the series, seeing that I had good ball security. I ran hard, followed my blocks, made good blocks, and made good decisions with the ball. And I think, that's what allowed me to, move up on the depth chart.
You mentioned trust. You guys really trust each other as a team?
As a team, we've come so far with trusting each other and just being a family. I mean, as offensively, I trust that Brandon Hayes will go out and he'll perform. As he trusts that I'll go out and I'll perform. And just that's one of the biggest things that we needed at the beginning of the season. We had pointing fingers instead of pointing at ourselves,
Right.
And just, I mean, it's not about the offense going out and making 3 and out. It's about now you gotta face adversity and stop the next drive. And so, I mean, as a team, we've come so far with trust that offensively, I love our guys, and I know they're going to do right now because, I mean, Fuente's got them like that. And Brandon being one of them, the fact that I trust him as well.
We finally have a name for this conference you guys are going into, the American Athletic Conference. All right, that's out of the way. And the teams, I think we know who you guys are going to be playing. Look, whatever the case may be, the competition is going to be stiffer. Talk about the challenges that lie ahead with Louisville and Cincinnati and some of the teams that will be in this conference for this upcoming 2013 season. Brandon?
I think we have to, come at our games, each game differently, but we're still going to practice the exact same, come out there, practice hard, just like Coach said, bring a lunch pail, blue-collar team. We're just going to go out there and try and play hard-nosed football and, out-execute the other team. And, I'm just really looking forward to this upcoming season and seeing how everything goes along.
And Bobby, the challenges again that will lie in front of you here in this new conference?
I mean, it's a challenge. It is. We're going to a better conference, as people would say, and I mean, it's just you coming to work on a daily basis. I mean, there's you don't see names, you see numbers, and I mean, the more every week in and week out, we're gonna have to come hard and prepare, and that's the biggest thing we need: preparation during the week to go for the next team. Louisville and Cincinnati have great programs, but if we come prepared and ready to work, then anybody can be beat.
And the BCS will have one more year, and then we go to the 14 playoff, and there's still that involvement here in this conference that you joined. So if you guys can put together a great year, I mean, the rewards that lie ahead are
Yes,
pretty
sir.
amazing.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
That's true.
The off season's coming up for you guys, and then you'll get back to camp in August. So what do you do individually during the off season, during the summer, to stay in shape, to get ready, to get your mindset ready as well for football in the fall? Brandon, let me start with you.
Well, me personally, it starts with my diet. Every single day I have a nutritionist, which is my aunt, and she does all my nutrition, my diet, and I just follow that strictly, and keep working out, and I just keep grinding, work on my speed, work on my my stride and everything, work on my quickness and agility, and just look forward to camp.
Bobby?
We have a great weight room coach. His name's Coach Cutchlow. He does a great job of us in the summer, keeping us in shape. I mean, keeping us eating right, keeping us feeling good. If you train the body, it'll do you right. And so that's one of his big philosophies. We're going to go hard in the weight room and go hard on the field, getting ready and getting in shape for camp.
Have you guys seen the difference in the last couple of years with the new regime, with the new coaching staff, with the new direction? Brandon?
Yeah, because I was here my first 2 years. I actually played under Coach Porter, and I just think it's a whole different atmosphere in the locker room, and I think that we really believe in what Coach Fuente is preaching and what he's saying, and it's just a huge difference from the first 2 years that I was here.
Bobby?
I feel like he said, I feel like it's totally different in the coaches' offices, the locker rooms. I mean, we're eating with the coaches' families. We see them every day. I mean, it's just, they make you feel at home. And, I mean, not knocking Coach Porter, I played under him for a year, but, I mean, I can just feel the difference that's change is coming with Coach Fuente.
Do you guys personally go out, and I'm not talking about knocking on doors and making phone calls, but when you see people outside of your circles, what do you say to them about University of Memphis football?
I mean, we're working, and you know, there's people see you and they look at your record, but they don't understand the work it takes to get there. I mean, we let them know every day in and day out, hey, we're working, I promise you, we're gonna do better. And I mean, that's coming. This year, it's coming. That's what they don't understand is that people that don't know the work we put in and day out is they just look at it. They're like, oh man, you know, another year. But no, that's not what we want. That's not the success we want to have.
Brandon?
Yeah, just, you know, to add on what Bobby said, you know, some people just look at our record and, you know, just go ahead and assume stuff, but they don't understand the work that we're putting in and the change that's actually going on behind the scenes of what's going on. And, you know, we're going into stiffer competition, but I really think that Coach Fuente and his staff and our staff is really going to have us prepared for this upcoming season.
How you guys doing academically, Brandon?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm an accounting major. I'm trying to keep over 3.0, so
Right.
it's going
It's a
pretty
challenge,
good.
is it not?
Yes, definitely a challenge.
Bobby, talk about that challenge, because I think some people kind of, you know, throw it aside, but you're out there and you're a full-time football player, you're a full-time student, you're trying to do things that normal 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds would do. Certainly challenges.
It is challenging. Being a student athlete, student comes first, and having to go to class is, of course, it's a hard thing to do after practice or before practice when your body's hurting. But as an athlete, that's the thing that you gave up. You gave up a social life. You gave up being able to go out all the time for doing homework and having to be an athlete.
From a NFL standpoint, when you watch games, what players do you guys like to watch?
Me personally, I like to watch Ray Rice, obviously Adrian Peterson, Steven Jackson. You know, just watching them read their hold, watching them, you know, their patience, their blocking techniques, and then I go on YouTube and watch a lot of their workout videos and see how their work ethic is, and you know, I just kind of feed off of that and train just as hard as them, and you know, hopefully one day, you know, everything will work out in place.
And all those guys you mentioned, they do it all. They can catch balls out of the backfield. Yeah. They obviously can block, which is a key, because you're not making it to the next level if you can't block. What area of the game do you need to improve upon the most?
If I had to say, I'd probably say my route running routes, you know, on the slide and stuff.
Bobby, who do you look at in the NFL?
I like Cortland Finnegan and Janoris Jenkins just because I love the way they play. Cortland Finnegan, he goes like he's a real rough, raspy kind of guy. He's going to get after you. He's going to tell you about it. That's what I really like about him. And Janoris Jenkins, he's a technician. He's consistent. That's the biggest thing at the corner, being consistent.
You sound like you're a student of the game. You really study these guys. What do you need to improve upon?
One thing I need to improve is consistency. Of course, giving up a deep ball every once in a while, that's money made in the NFL.
Exactly.
And so I mean, that's being consistent on helping the team out with, regardless if it's at corner, at return, at anything, just being consistent.
All right, you're off the hot seat, but you're not done yet. We're doing something called 5 for the Road. All my guests on Sports Files, I ask you 5 questions. First thing that comes to mind, blurt it out. Favorite professional sports team? Doesn't have to be an NFL team. Brandon, let me start with you.
Chicago Bears.
Okay, I can see why. Bobby?
Oakland A's.
The Oakland A's. You're going baseball. You're going Moneyball here. Billy Bean. Wow. Is that is football your favorite sport? Or is it, okay, all right. All right. So the Oakland A's. That's a curveball right there, no pun intended. Favorite professional athlete of all time? Again, any sport. Bobby, you first.
Deion Sanders.
Deion. Brandon?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Now, again, football your favorite sport? Or?
Yeah, football's my favorite sport, but Michael Jordan's is my favorite athlete.
So if I twisted your arm and said, you know what, you could be a professional basketball player instead of a professional football player, you'd still pick football?
Yeah, I still pick football.
Okay. All right. This is always an interesting question. Favorite music, rapper, musician, artist, who do you listen to before a game? Bobby, you're first.
Wiz Khalifa.
Okay.
Khalifa, yeah.
And he's coming to Memphis
in May.
In May, right?
Yes,
the Music Fest. Brandon?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, great choice. Do you guys both listen to the music before the games? There are some guys I talk to and they say no, they don't want to listen to the music, but a lot of guys do. What do you do before the game? What's pregame ritual?
I like to listen to music. I like to kind of be to myself before the team goes out. I like to just get a little. I like to keep the team up, and being about 20 minutes before the game, I like to be to myself and just relax myself and calm my nerves. But as we get ready to go out, I'm ready to pick my team up.
And Brandon?
Yeah, I definitely like to listen to music. You know, I like to actually. Some guys like to be on their own. I actually like to interact with my teammates and get pumped up, you know, and just listen to my music and just vibe off each other.
All right, guys, final question for you. Favorite television show of all time? First of all, do you watch a lot of TV?
Yes.
Other than sports?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite TV show? Bobby?
People are going to get me for this one, but Glee.
No, you didn't say that.
I like
Can
Glee.
we just end this interview right now? No. Really? You like Glee?
Yeah, I like Glee. I used to watch with my moms, and I kind of started to like it a little bit.
Brandon, he's not going to hear the end of it, is he?
No, he's not.
All right, what can you top that one?
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is my favorite.
All-time favorite.
Yeah,
What
all-time
about a show
favorite.
right now that you're watching?
Right now, Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, I know it was a great end of last season. We were really looking forward to it. Everybody especially excited about the fact you're going to be in this new conference. There's a big prize at the end. We'll see if you can, from the get-go, pick up where you left off last year, and best of luck to both of you. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Brandon, thank you. Always a pleasure. We will take a break. When we come back, our overtime segment. Anyone remotely associated with sports in and around Memphis has undoubtedly run across the name John Ganazzo. If not the name, then certainly the face. The man known to his friends as JJ has been an official scorer, statistician, and sports historian for nearly every sport imaginable. He works with the Grizzlies and the University of Memphis and is a volunteer media scorer for the FedEx St. Jude Classic. He has kept scorer stats for the likes of the NFL, USFL, CFL, WFL, and XFL in football, and the NBA, ABA, WBA, and USBL in hoops. He's also heavily involved with high school sports and founded the popular Best of the Preps. But today it's all about baseball as JJ enters his 50th year of keeping the scorebooks for Memphis pro baseball teams, including the Redbirds. And JJ joins me now. First of all, thanks for being with us, JJ.
Great to be here.
We could talk for hours and hours, but we'll limit it today to just the sport of baseball. Why do you love baseball so much?
Well, baseball, it's an endless game. You don't have a time limit. You could play on and on. The other night we had an 11-inning game, 4-hour game. So it's just a relaxing way to enjoy sports.
Can you believe it's 50 years of doing this for you?
It was 50 years ago. This April, I was keeping score for Whitehaven High School, the school I went to. And from that point, I've done high school games, American Collegiate games, international baseball, Major League, minor league games, you name it.
With professional baseball in Memphis, you've had a number of amazing stories that you'll get to tell a lot of people for many, many years. Give me a story or two involving you as the official scorekeeper.
Well, one time Nashville came to town, and Memphis and Nashville were heated rivals. I made a call against Willie McGee in the late innings. The Nashville manager looked up at the press box and gave me a dirty look. He sent a note up and said, the next day, said that, he thought there was a hit and wanted me to change it. So I sent a note back to him, being the brash person that I was, and telling him that in Nashville, you can keep score and manage, but in Memphis, I'm the scorekeeper and we have a manager. A week later, in Jacksonville, the manager got on to the scorekeeper down there, and at the end of the conversation, he told that scorekeeper that he wasn't the worst scorekeeper in the league. But when that SOB in Memphis dies, he will be. Well, I'm not in the league anymore, so I guess he's the worst.
How many times, or does it even happen, does a player or a coach or a manager come to you and say, listen, that should be a hit, change it?
Not too often. I tell people, if you know the rules, that eliminates a lot of the the argument. And but from time to time, we do have some people that ask about a certain hit or error or whatever. And at AutoZone Park, we have the luxury of having instant replay monitors, which after the game or the next day, we can review the video and come up with a conclusion.
How has scorekeeping evolved over the years?
Well, we've gone from pencil and paper to automated score system now, where all of our stats we do, whether it be football, or baseball, or basketball, is done by computer.
What is the toughest call to make in baseball? I know in basketball it's the block charge. What about baseball?
With me, it's a wild pitch pass ball, because where we are in the press box is hard to tell unless you see the ball hit it, go into the dirt. And you want to give the benefit to the pitcher most of the time, because he does most of the work. So I'd say wild pitch pass ball.
Rules are always evolving, JJ, so you got to be very well versed on the rules each and every year. Is there courses or classes, or do you have conversations with the people at the top who are making these rule changes? How do you keep up with the changes?
Well, I talk to scorekeepers that I know, throughout the country, and we go over the rule changes, which are not that many each year, but it's just if you just read the rules and stay on top of the game and pay attention, you don't have a problem.
What was the story about the no-hitter that you got a little bit of
the no-hit game several years ago was I awarded a no-hit. To my fault, I changed it after the game and then changed it back, which led people to believe it was some doubt. And that was my fault. So, and the league got a request by Memphis to overchange it.
Do you think there's a lot of youngsters, and I know you teach classes, but a lot of youngsters that would like to follow in your footsteps?
It's a good way to make money, supplemental income if you're retired or if or a student to make money, and it is. And I have clinics and teach people how to, the little finer points of keeping score.
What's the hardest thing about keeping score?
Well, of course, it's judgment. You and I could see the same game, the same play, and 2 months later, we still have a disagreement on hit or error. But the bottom line is, the league appointed me, and it's my choice.
In 50 years of covering baseball and many of those years professional baseball in Memphis, you've seen a lot of great players come through for the home team and for the visiting team. Throw out some of those names for the folks.
Well, we've had Gary Carter, Hall of Famer, Charlie Lee, hometown player, Jeff Conine, who was the MVP of the World Series, Albert Pujols, of course, and Mark McGwire. There's been just a parade of all-stars.
You have seen Bo Jackson in Memphis play. You have seen Michael Jordan in Memphis play baseball. Quick story about Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan had, I guess,
use the facility, and in the middle of the game, in the middle of an inning, he and a security guard and entourage of staff went down the line out of the dugout to the clubhouse, and about 2 or 3 minutes later, while the game was being held up, here he comes back, which is sort of unusual for. They changed the rule. They bent the rule a little bit for him. Michael.
And Bo Jackson was probably one of the most electrifying events in Memphis. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. We had a special area set up for media, and it was like a circus. And there were people, wagering, when would the first hit be, what would it be, whatever. And luckily for me, it was in the first inning. He got a single.
You have been very busy in putting together the history of sports in Memphis, but also with baseball. You have this book. Why don't you pick that up for everybody?
It's what it is.
Encyclopedia.
It's the Memphis Baseball Encyclopedia, and it has 200 pages of facts and figures and stories about players of old, information about ballparks and team nicknames. One year, Memphis was called the Fever Germs.
The Fever Germs?
And I find that probably the most interesting nickname of all the Memphis sports and all the Memphis teams we've had.
How many more years can you do this?
I had a heart attack several years ago on opening day. Wow. And didn't know it. And so I would imagine that they'll probably remove me from the middle of an inning.
And you're going to die in the
scoring
press
chair.
box. What has been the the toughest thing for you as far as, other than illness?
The toughest thing is, to be fair, a lot of people say, give a hit for the Tigers, give a hit for the Redbirds, or whatever. And you're there as an umpire and a representative of the league, and you have to be fair as, what you give a hit for whoever, you have to give the same benefit for the next player, for the other team.
In 10 seconds, what would you like to be remembered most for?
A good guy.
You are a good guy, JJ. A good guy for coming by here and
Thanks.
spending some time with us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. The one and only JJ Ganazzo. And folks, that'll do it for this week's show. Next week, we'll get you set for the NBA playoffs as we sit down with the television voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, Pete Pranica. Remember, you can see any of our previous shows by going to WKNO.org and clicking on KNO Tonight. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time.